Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan, and this is That Random Geeky Guy. Today, I think we've got a pretty cool video. We are going to attempt to, as it says in the title, water cool an iPhone. Yeah, seriously, we are. So an iPhone, like any other smartphone, is basically a handheld computer. Temperatures play a big part in its performance capabilities. And I just want to see if whether or not this random kit, which is designed to water cool an iPhone, you can pick it up on the likes of AliExpress. I think they're actually even on Amazon and probably on Wish and all those sort of bits and pieces. Actually makes any difference whatsoever, and if it's actually worth it. The iPhone in question, as you will see, is an iPhone 11 Pro Max. It's my personal phone. It's what I use at the moment. It's not in a case or anything at the moment while we do some benchmark runs before water cooling it. In terms of benchmark, we're using a product from 3D Mark. It's 3D Mark Wildlife. It's a smartphone test, which hopefully will put it under a bit of stress and create some heat. So I guess, without further ado, let's get into it. So what you're going to see alongside me here is a screenshot of the phone itself, and what I'm doing on here to I guess, get some preliminary results in terms of what it's capable of. So what we'll do is we will start up the test here, and that's then going to start the benchmark, and it's going to run. I'll leave that on the table to do that. So that's going to be running in the background just so the benchmark can load, get the device up to heat, and then get kind of a score for the benchmark. And then we'll talk about, while that's running in the background, we'll talk about what this stuff is here. So the first thing you're going to see is this. A jug of water with a couple of partially melted ice cubes in it. My thought process is to give this thing the best chance of making a difference in terms of benchmark speeds, was to ensure that the water that we use in it is as cool as possible. So I've got a trusted thermometer here, and we are seeing temperatures of, let me just double check it from the side, yeah. So about 7 degrees Celsius for the water temperature that's in here. And then the actual system itself is really kind of basic, and I don't hold out the most amount of hope, but let's kind of see what happens. So let's dig into the actual water cooling system while this is running alongside me. The first thing you get is this plastic container, and this plastic container has what is essentially a very, very, very small fish tank pump, essentially. You've got wrapped up in here a USB power cable, which is why you'll also see off to the side here just a USB power bank, and then you've got obviously your inlet and outlet in terms of the water itself. So yeah, quite simple. Put the water in, plug it in, and then it goes into a specialist case, which I'll show you now. Just so you're aware, the first test on this has finished, an overall score of 7,289 with an average frame rate of 43 FPS. Okay, so that's kind of the resultant score. I'm going to run it again because obviously now it's kind of saturated with some heat. So let's try again. So we go back to benchmark and hit start, and we'll let that run again whilst I'm showing you around the case. I'm going to pre-warn you, the case isn't a very attractive case. It's certainly something you wouldn't use on the phone all the time. And you'll see from its build why I don't hold out that much hope. Essentially, it's a black silicon case, specifically for this device, and then it's got a water block inside it with some copper tape holding the water block to the silicon case, and you've got an inlet or outlet. They're not labeled, so I don't know whether or not it's directional. And I guess the idea then is that feeling where the hot spot is on the phone when it's doing the benchmark, this actually is in the right place in terms of trying to dissipate some of that heat. Now, obviously, unlike if you were fitting a water cooling block to a GPU or a CPU, there's no thermal paste involved here. So this is just that onto the back of the phone, and the idea is that this is trying to dissipate or take away some of that heat, increase the thermal mass, so it takes longer for the device to actually fully heat up and potentially throttle. So yes, that's the case. I don't think it's going to have the snuggest fit in the world, but there we go. So we've had a slight reduction in the overall score on this test now, down to 7,104 with an average FPS of 42. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off the screen recording on my phone, and I'm going to run the test again without it, because now it's heat saturated. I don't want to give it a disadvantage by having the screen recording running as well. So you'll see here, hopefully, if it's focused, 7104 as a result. what we're going to do is going to jump back in again and we'll run it one more time without the screen recording running. Then hopefully we've got that good balance between heat soaking and also the fact that we aren't doing a screen record. So we're not using up power by doing that. So here we go. Off it goes again. Now I'm going to keep an eye on this because once it's done, I would like to look at the thermals of the back of the phone with this thermometer here. So we'll see kind of what those things look like. While it's running though, I'm going to get this set up ready to go. So get this elastic band off that's keeping all this stuff together. I'm going to be honest with you, I have absolutely no idea what to expect from the results. I'm literally doing it for the first time in front of you guys. So what you'll see is what I see. With mobile gaming becoming more and more popular, you're actually seeing more of this kind of unusual tech coming out aimed at mobile gamers. I guess this video is to see if it's actually worth it, if it actually does anything, or whether or not it's just a complete gimmick and just designed for you to spend your money on. So just leave that for me to do, and you guys can have a laugh at my expense if it's no good. So we're good there. We're almost finished on this test. I'm just going to unscrew this as well so I can put the water in a moment. But I want to be prepared for when the test's finished so I can do a temperature check on the back of the device. So the ambient room temperature is about 21 degrees. Okay, so we've actually, even though we've removed, actually let's get those temps quick. Okay, so we're about 42 degrees on the back of the device. But the score's actually gone down, even though we've stopped screen recording. So we're actually down to 6,668 at 39 FPS. So that heat soaking is definitely having an impact by doing that. So we've got 6,668 for the score and 39 FPS. Right, let's get this all set up. Now I've run like 3 or 4 tests there, so I will do the same with the water to see if we get a similar result. But here goes nothing. Let's fill this thing up. Let me bring it into shot. So it is literally as simple as that. There's no rads, there's none of this sort of business. The idea is that we're just circulating sub-ambient temperature water with the outcome goal of using that to transfer some heat away from the device. So the first thing first, before I put the phone into the case, I'm going to get this all set up and then I'm going to try and power it and make sure it actually works, because otherwise this video is going to be really short if none of it actually works. So here we go. Let's get this back in there. So first things first, these tubes are quite difficult to get on, but they're not barbed. So I guess actually it's a good thing that they're fairly difficult to get on, because then hopefully they're actually going to stay on. Okay, second one on. Now, where I brought this from, they did have other choices available, but obviously this is designed to work with my iPhone for obvious reasons. Moment of truth, does it work? Yes, there is water cycling. Okay, so the water is circulating, and yeah, this cold plate is really cold. I'm actually a little bit shocked. So, okay, that cold plate is, oh, it's reflecting. It's difficult to get a temperature because it's reflective. Okay, so we're varying between about 9 to 13 degrees, and we have got a very, if you can see it on camera here, a little bit of condensation going on that plate because it's sub-ambient. Okay, let's put the phone in and run some tests. Let's see what happens. Okay. It's a tight squeeze. Having that plate in the back is definitely impactful in terms of getting the phone in. Let's go in from a slightly different angle. Okay, we're kind of in there. Okay, moment of truth. Let's get this thing fired up and see what happens. So the previous score was 6,668 at 39 FPS, but obviously that was once it was heat stoked. This is going to have cooled down a little bit now, so we're going to have to run a few tests. But we'll fire up the first one so you guys can see that working. I don't know about whether or not this is going to make any difference. I'd like to say yes, because it is a lot cooler. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. It's got a fairly decent amount of water flow through there. But anyway, let's leave that running to the side and just keep monitoring the temperature on this water. It's kind of hovering around 10 degrees. Now, I don't think this is going to be putting out enough heat to be able to quickly heat soak this volume of water. You know, you're going to be able to leave this running for ages before that becomes a major problem. And I guess ultimately, if you've got a mobile gaming session, you could just top it back up, empty it, top it back up. From a gaming perspective, the pipes come out of the right side of the phone, because that's just sat on top. It's not coming out of the ends, so it's not going to stick into your hands or anything on those sort of lines. But we're up to 10.6 degrees on the water temperature here, and yeah, no major challenges there. So this one's coming to an end, and this one has just put out a 7665. That's 7665 at 45 FPS. But it's the first run, so let's go straight back into it and get it to run again. So here goes. And I say we're going to run it 3 times right after each other to see how heat soaked we can get it, and whether or not actually this is maintaining temperatures. I've kind of got a weird smile on my face because I think this actually might be working, which I wasn't really expecting. But let's see what this next run looks like. While I'm waiting for it to finish, in terms of costs, I think I paid about £28 for this, which is, you know, a little bit silly. But I think the point being was that I can do something crazy like this so you guys don't have to. And if it actually does work and you care at all about mobile gaming and performance, it could actually be an opportunity to do that. But if you do want to help the channel out, make sure you head on over to thatrandomgeekyguy.com and pick up one of these Stealth Traces t-shirts. Crazy videos like this and all sorts of other bits and pieces I've got planned. I need some way of funding that, and potentially you could help with that by just picking up one of these t-shirts and supporting the channel. So please do that. I massively appreciate it. Also, if I can find a link on Amazon for this, I will put it down in the link section below. It will be a paid link, but again, it's a kickback for the channel. Second test is run, and we have dropped to 7208. So 7208. Remember, on the third run, without this water cooler in place, we dropped to like 6668. So let's see what's going to happen now with this third run. Okay, there we go. Straight into a third run again. Let's check the temperatures on this thing. Okay, so it's definitely going up in temperature. It's 11.4 degrees now. So that's gone up probably by about 1 degree. And obviously, you know, there's a thermal mass of water here, versus, you know, the thermal mass of the back of the phone. But the case itself is even, you know, cold, I wouldn't say cold to the touch, but cooler to the touch. And yeah, I've given it, I guess, a bit of an unfair advantage by putting ice in the water. But actually, if you were using this, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Just stick an ice cube tray in the freezer. So you've got loads of ice cubes to hand, and whenever you need to change the water out, you can put some more ice cubes in it, and away you go. So it's all quite possible. But this test is still running perfectly smooth. No condensation around here, which is good. Obviously, we'll check behind the phone in a bit and see if we've got any form of condensation in there. But on the whole, this seems to be fairly foolproof and seems to be working fine. I'm actually really surprised how cool these tubes are. But there goes another test, and we've actually gone back up to 7322. Guys, this is working. This is crazy. This is actually working. Right, I'm going to run one more because I'm lost for words. So let's go again. Make sure it's completely heat soaked. Now, I must say, on the previous test, the phone after the third test was warm to your hand. Now, whilst obviously I've got a water block between the phone and my hand at the moment, which has obviously got this cold water going through it, you're not feeling any heat radiating from this. So let's run it for a fourth time. What I'm going to do here is once I've seen the score, I'm going to quickly take the phone out of the case. And I'm going to do a temperature check on the back of it. So it's like 43 degrees, I think it was before we put it onto this water cooling kit. So let's see what this one spits out once it has actually finished. Yeah, still no condensation. So you can see on the back of the phone. I must say the case itself is an awful fit. It fits really badly. But I think there wouldn't take a lot to actually modify this and take the water block out and put it onto your own case with some modifications if you're into that sort of thing. So here we go. We're just going through the last kind of stages of this test, and we'll see what sort of results we can get. I'm just going to keep real quiet while it's finishing and see if you can hear. Actually, let me pull my mic down. That's the noise coming out, if you can hear it at all. Okay, that test is finished, 7160, so we're staying above 7,000. Let's get this out of this case and see what the temperatures are like. 22 degrees. That's insane. So that's just above ambient. Guys, this works. This actually does work. This pad is really cold. I'm so impressed at that. That's crazily good. Yep, this is sub-ambient. Wow, okay. I don't really know what else there is to say. Can you water cool an iPhone? In the loosest term, yes, you can. It's not water cooling in the traditional sense. You're not going straight to the integrated heat spread or straight onto a die water cooling, but you're water cooling the elements of the phone that are used to dissipate heat by adding on what looks to be a copper water block, a very basic copper water block, a basic plastic container with a small pump and some sub-ambient water. And yes, it works. You seem to get more sustained performance than if you were to run it without. So that isn't the conclusion of this video that I was expecting. So there we go. If you've got any questions or comments at all about doing this, about this equipment, or anything like that, make sure you stick it in the comment section below. This was actually quite a fun video, and I really didn't expect it to end like this. Do head on over to thatrandomgeekyguy.com, pick up one of these Stealth Traces t-shirts. It funds these sort of projects. I'd love to do this sort of stuff in the future as well. Other than that, thank you very much for tuning in. Smash that subscribe button. It's a free way to send some support to the channel. Hit the bell so you know about our future releases. And until next time, guys, who knew it? A random water cooler works on an iPhone. Take care out there.